morning, good afternoon, good evening, grade 8s, depending on when you're watching this. This is the first video of the session, and in this video I will be going through order of operations. So that's the very first thing that you should know in grade 8. And what does this include? What would this video include? So this video we're going to look at what BODMAS is and what it means and how we have to do brackets first, then do my orders. What are orders? Orders are all your exponents and your radicals. These are your square roots, your cube roots, and so on. And then we're going to move on to the division and multiplication, and lastly the addition and subtraction. So that's what this video is going to be about. So let's jump right into it. All right, so let's take a simple thing and we're going to slowly try and get these to look a little bit harder and harder and harder. So let's take something as simple as this. So again, BODMAS, we need to understand what the B stands for. The B stands for brackets, remember. The O stands for orders. And again, your orders are your square roots, your cube roots, and your exponents. The D stands for division. The M is multiplication. Then the A is addition, and lastly the S is subtraction. So that's what each of these things mean. So let's do the first one first. So order of operation is just our way of solving these, and this way needs to be the same. It needs to be consistent, because if I'm solving this and I'm sitting in the United States, or if I'm solving this and I'm in Antarctica, or if I'm solving this and I'm here in South Africa, the way I solve it needs to be the same. So order of operation is just us universally making the way we solve maths to be the same. That is the whole idea here. All right, so the first step that we need to do is we need to do our brackets. Right? So our brackets, we see brackets there, we just need to evaluate the guys inside of the brackets. So if you do 8 minus the 3, you get a 5. And you keep every other thing the same, so the 7 times stayed there. And now what's a 7 times a 5? That will be multiplication. So we've got rid of the brackets, there are no orders, there is no division, so we need to do multiplication. And a 7 times a 5 is a 35. And there we go. Very easy. All right, let's do the second question, number 2. And in each of these questions, I'm just going to keep rewriting what BODMAS is. Minus 10 there, divided by 2. So this is BODMAS. So we're going to do the brackets first again. So we have the 7 times, and a 4 plus a 3 would give me a 7. We still have our minus 10 there, and we have our divided by 2. Then we notice at this point, we've done brackets, we don't have any orders. We need to do division and multiplication. So division and multiplication have the same strength. So what does that mean? It means whenever you're left with division and multiplication, or whenever you're confronted with a question that has both division and multiplication in it, then you need to work from left to right. What that means is do the multiplication that you see on the left first. So if I multiply that, I get a 49. And then once you're done, you can do the division that you see on the right hand side. So I keep my 49, and now I am saying 10 divided by 2 gives me a 5. And at this point, you could just subtract them. 49 minus 5 is a 44. And there we go. That's question number 2. All right, let's do another one. Let's look at number 3. And number 3 looks like you have a 7 times an 7 plus a 4 times an 8. Again, my BODMAS. All right, so we're gonna do the brackets first. 7 times a 7 gives me a 49, and I'm gonna do this bracket. 4 times the 8 will give me a 32. So I end up with these guys, and at this point I just need to add these, and then I end up with the 81, which is my final answer. I hope you guys are following. I am moving quite quickly through this. You can pause and try these out yourself. Let's do number 4. So 5, that is adding a 3, that is being multiplied by a 2 squared. What are we going to do first here? Again, BODMAS says do your brackets first. But we don't have any brackets, so we can skip that guy. Then it says do your orders next. My orders are these exponents that you see there. So 2 to the power of 2 is an order. I'm going to keep everything the same, and a 2 to the power of 2 is a 4. I evaluate that, I get a 4. Then remember, division and multiplication works from left to right, but in this case we only have multiplication, so I'm going to prioritize that first. 3 times a 4 would give me a 12. Then at this point I just add these two and I get a 17. I hope this is making sense. Let's do number 5. Let's ramp up the level of difficulty a little bit. 3 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 125 divided by 5 squared minus 17 plus 2. So we have a lot in front of us, but we don't panic. We just rewrite what BODMAS is. BODMAS. So what do we do first? We're going to do our brackets first. So if you evaluate those brackets, we keep every other thing the same. And so a 17 plus the 2 is a 19. And then we get that. Right? Then we've done our brackets. Then we need to do our orders. So whenever I see an exponent, I need to evaluate that next. So I'm going to do this 3 squared and I'm going to do this 5 squared. 3 squared is a 9. And a 5 squared is a 25. So this ends up being divided by 25. Alright, so I've done all my orders. Now I need to do my multiplication and division from left to right. So I keep the 9, I multiply the 4 and the 2, I get an 8. I divide the 125 with the 25, I will get a 5 there. And I end up with something that looks like this. Then at this point, we're doing our additions and subtraction. Again, we're moving from left to right. So 9 minus an 8 will give me a 1. Let me just do this step by step. And a 1 plus a 5 would give me a 6. And a 6 minus a 19. If you know your integers, you should be getting a negative 13 there. All right. So let's do the second last question, question number 6. And number 6 says you have a 15 divided by 3 plus a 7 to the power of 3 minus the root of 144 times a 2 minus a 3 squared times a 4 minus a 7. So again, you can pause the video and try this out yourself. So what do I do first? Again, it's BODMAS. So I do my brackets first. So my 4 and the 7 are going to subtract first. I'm going to keep every other thing the same. I keep this the same. I keep that the same. I keep the square root of 144 the same times the 2 minus the 3 squared. And here I'm going to be timesing by a 4 minus a 7 is a minus 3. Right? I've done my brackets. Then I need to do my orders. The orders are this guy, and this guy. Remember, it includes the exponents and the radicals. So radicals is anything that has a square root or cube root there. So I'm going to keep this 15 over 3. I'm going to cube the 7 and I'll get 343. I'm going to square root the 144, which is going to be a 12. And I'm going to square the 9, the 3, and when I square it, I'm going to get a 9. And so I get something that looks like that. Right? And at this point, you've done your orders. Now you need to do your multiplication and division from left to right. So I divide the 15 with the 3, I get a 5. Right? I times the 2 with the negative 12, I get a negative 24. And lastly, I times the negative 9 with the negative 3 and I get a positive 27. And now you can add from left to right. This plus that would give me 348 minus 24 plus 27. And if you evaluate all of that all at the same time, you should get 351. So you're first subtracting with the 24 and then you're adding with the 27. And there we go. Right? Alright, let's do the last question. And the last question looks like this. We have a couple of brackets in there. But let's not forget what BODMAS keeps saying. BODMAS, you do the brackets first. So we're going to zoom into these big brackets, and inside of those big brackets, we're going to evaluate the ones inside. So I'm going to do this guy first, and a 3 plus a 5 gives me an 8. Then I'm going to square it because there's a square outside there. I'm going to evaluate the second bracket. And a 6 minus a 2 gives me a 4. So I end up with, this is just times a 4. And then I still have my big brackets and I have my divided by 2 there. And it looks like this. Then at this point, you can do your orders, even though you still have brackets, but inside of your brackets, you still follow BODMAS. So inside of my brackets, I'm going to do orders next. So my orders next will give me a 64. 8 squared is a 64. I'll come back to this guy. So yes, I am still within brackets, but then I've done my orders, then I need to do my division and multiplication. So I keep the 64. The negative 4 times a positive 4 is a negative 16. All divided by 2 plus 7. Then at this point, I'm just going to write the answers this side. A 64 minus a 16, that will just give me a 48. So I have a 48 that is being divided by a 2, that is being added plus a 7. Then a 48 divided by 2, we're doing division and multiplication, remember? That will just give me 24. And then if I add a 7, I will just get 31 as my final answer. And basically that's how you do BODMAS. So on that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you on the next segment. Bye.